It is currently Tuesday, October 4th, 2011, and I did pay rent. Yes, this is day 9 daily number 355, where we learn to be a better gamer. Today we're going to look at a Zerg versus Zerg between IdrA and Revival. Pretty excited about this one because it's going to be a little different than our usual analysis. But I first have to tell you about a little adventure that I went on. I went skydiving. So the fine folks over at Red Bull, who of course put on the Red Bull LAN that I was at last weekend, just wanted to take everyone skydiving. And I was like, alright, sure, let's do it, right? So here's the story of me going skydiving. Some of you may think that my job is like a professional commentator, that I look at insight into StarCraft strategy and compose it into words and spout those words back at you. But that's actually wrong. What I am is a professor... Now that I'm not tripping over my words anymore, I am a professional block it out guy, right? That's what I do for a living. My job, my career is built upon my ability to resist all the physiological signals to not do something and then just to do it anyways. Like for instance, when we were at BlizzCon and there was some error that went on and they said, hey Sean, can you just like go out on stage and just like keep them entertained for like 90 minutes? And I was like, alright. And my body was like, we don't want to do this. But I did that, right? It was fun. It was a good time, you know. Like some days, for instance, I'll be tired, won't really want to do the daily, and not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. We can just sort of push whatever's going on to the side, have ourselves a blast, and all's well. Not a big deal. The reason I bring this up is because all these psychological mechanisms were kicking in to extreme as we were driving to the skydiving location, right? We're in the car and people are going, dude, you pumped up? You getting stoked to go skydiving? And I'm like, I'm not processing it. I'm literally not thinking about it at all. And we get there, and I'm still just sort of like not processing it, everything's good, it's not processing, it's doing fine. And they like bring us in, it's like one of those like facilities that looks like it hasn't quite hit the 20th century, you know what I'm saying? I mean like, obviously all the technology's there, they have like state-of-the-art skydiving equipment, there's like ultra professionals and everything's good, but they have one of those 4x3 TVs that has like a VHS player connected to the TV where they play on the 4x3 bubble dome screen, the instructional practice video that you have to look at before you go skydiving. And of course, all the overlaid audio is like, sounds like some 1990s commercial where he's like, it is a fun and exhilarating thrill ride to go skydiving with the whole family ages 15 and up. It's not an actual real person talking to you. It's a total over-the-top sort of weird, only in marketing materials kind of voice. So we're going through this whole process and everyone's sort of getting excited and I'm just not really thinking about it. And so we end up going to this room where we're filling out all these forms and everything, and they're like, please list any medical conditions that you might have. So I put allergic to Pepto-Bismol, which I am. It makes my hands get all... They start to turn white and then the top layer of skin peels off like glue. I don't know why, but that's what it is. You know, and I always wrote that down, and I was like, is something like a sprained ankle a reasonable thing to say? And they were like, oh yeah, sprained ankle would be fine. So I'm just writing this down, not thinking about anything. You know, for instance, with the Pepto-Bismol, you never actually think that that will matter. It's just something you say. It's just like, oh really, he's a little bit of a circus freak, that's fine. Just make a note on a clipboard and never read the clipboard anymore. That's how I thought it would go. But when I said the sprained ankle thing, they immediately took my sheet into the other room and a guy came in and was like, you can't skydive. And I was like, my ankle's fine. And they're like, yeah, but you wrote it down and we saw you write it down. I was like, no, it's totally fine. My ankle went through a piece of steel rebar. Here's the rebar that my ankle went through. You see how it's not very straight anymore? Maybe ankle's fine seems like a little bit of an understatement, don't you think? But I was like, no, it's fine. I tried to put my pedal on my gas and I just hit it at a wrong angle and it hurt a little bit. I was like starting to try to backpedal as much as possible. They're like, no, absolutely not. We cannot go skydiving unless you have a signed note from your doctor, emailed or faxed to us. So I call up the med clinic, which is in Burbank. It's like 2 hours west. I call them like, yeah, can you please give me permission? Can you just email that? And they say, well, not unless you come in. And I'm like, oh my God. Because the Red Bull folks are like really nice, right? They drove us all the way out there, and I don't want to be like, well, I don't know, I broke my foot, I don't know, I told them about it, and I'm sorry, I can't. I felt like such an idiot. I went up to the guy, I was like, Sam, I can't go skydiving. I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed. I shouldn't have said anything. And he does this. He literally goes, we're going to the nearest med clinic and getting you a doctor's note. That's like right there on the spot. And he has like 2 phones because he has like a personal and a work, and he's like dual wielding, like calling all the med clinics in the nearby area. He's like, yeah, do you have free time? Wait, hold on one sec. Yes, do you have a doctor? And he's just like switching back and forth, and he gets one. He's like, all right, you have a doctor free? All right, we're good. All right, we're going there right now. We'll see you in 5 minutes, right? So we speed off, and we get to this clinic, and immediately we walk in, and there's no clear entrance. There's like no front door, no back door, so we go in any door, and we open it like right into a radiology room or something like that, and we're like, oh, like trying to dodge x-rays and shit. We're going through this like labyrinthine path, and in the middle of this freaking Byzantine complex is an office where they say, we're out to lunch. And we're like, but you're the urgent care, we just called. And they said, oh, there's another urgent care that's same name as us on the same road 5 minutes that way. So we go into that, and we drive all the way over there, and we get there to the most chilled out, relaxed, cool, taking it easy doctor's clinic that I've ever been to in my entire life. Where I'm like, yeah, my ankle's really hurt, and I want to go skydiving, but it's fine, it's totally okay, everything's gonna be fine, all right? And he's like, oh, skydiving, oh, my brother-in-law went skydiving a month before he married my sister, and he found it pretty fun. Sounds pretty cool. Like, totally unfazed by what was going on. So he goes ahead and he starts feeling the ankle, and what I'm prepared to do is I'm like making sure that my language is ready. I'm prepared to say things like, there's, I guess, some mild tenderness to it. I don't want to be like, I drove a go-kart through a wall at 40 miles an hour and concrete smashed my ankle and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. I don't want to say that. It's like, it's a little tender. And he like pushes on. He's like, does this hurt? Does this hurt? Does this hurt? Does this hurt? And like nothing actually hurt. I was getting ready to say whatever I needed to, but I'm like, that actually feels fine. He's like, all right, we'll hop up and down on one foot. And I hopped up and down, and he's like, all right, you can skydive. It was like 30 seconds in the doctor's office. I was like, do you take my blood pressure? He's like, I don't know, it wouldn't affect your ankle. And I'm like, great. And he wrote cleared to skydive, right? Not just ankle is okay, not like can dance, can do the LMFAO shuffle. He wrote cleared to skydive. So I like run out, and we're like sprinting back off to the skydivers location. We get there, and like the plane's gonna take off in 10 minutes. So they like strap me up. They put like a little, it's an altimeter. It has the altitude. It's an Earth detector. It says how close an Earth is to you. And we like get in the plane, and I'm still not processing at all. And then that's when I meet the Red Bull Air Force. Holy shit. Okay, have you ever met one of those people who's like an enthusiastic, cool, bro-y sort of guy? It's like, yeah, all right, man, high five. And if you're not quite ready and there to participate, you just know that they're going to shit on you within 5 seconds. Like, high five, man, high five. Whoa, what's with the attitude, bro? What's with that, And you're like, oh, God. Like, they did the enthusiasm high five, and they would wait a year for you to give them a high five back. And when you did, they'd go, all right, bro, sweet. So they like run up to me. They're like, oh, dude, what are you, Sean? Oh, sweet, I'm Miles, man. I'm stoked to meet you, man. It's their first time. Yeah, high five. And I'm like, high five. And he's like, yeah, it was awesome, man. I high fived him, and he said that was awesome. Yes, please, right? These are the people that are like the professional skydivers. Like this guy has skydove in a kayak and landed the kayak in like a perfect 10-foot grass field. So we go up into the airplane. I'm not processing. We start to take off, and the Earth detector is saying, well, there's an Earth getting farther away from us right now. And the plane, when you get into like a commercial airliner, they generally try to make it as much like just being in a nice place as possible, like being on still ground. You have like a cup holder. There's carpet. You're fucking like 10 miles in the air, and there's a carpet, right? Like, think about how ridiculous that is. And there's music and televisions and all that jazz. And the stewardess is asking you would you like ice cubes that are mysteriously cylindrical? You're like, I'll have multiple of those. This was just propellers and bent metal. is what this plane was. I was so aware that I was not in a regular airplane. It was like a row of benches, a little bit of space, and a row of benches, and it's just open. Outside, you can look at with no obstruction. Not through a window. There's the outside, and if you fall out, you'll die. And there it is. And people are like buckling their seat belts as the plane is taking off and like shoving each other and joking around and high-fiving, and I'm just like, not processing. Well, at least there's an Earth nearby. All right. And we end up getting up, and I'm getting strapped to the person and everything, and he's like saying all these things. It's pretty easy. All you got to do is you squat, and then you say ready, set, go, and on go you just fall out. Don't jump, just fall out of the airplane. And I'm like, all right, and of course the Red Bull Air Force, woo, it's gonna be awesome, man, sweet, woo, like getting all pumped up, and I'm like, yeah, high five me, yeah, that was awesome. Okay, come on, it's fine, so everything's fine. We're gonna do this. So I'm still not thinking about it. I'm still not processing as we're getting to the edge of the outside. And so I'm sitting there and I'm squatting. I'm doing my immortal, but I have to have my arms up here. I'm sort of a hold fire immortal up there. And we go, and the way the rhythm is it's ready, set, go, and you fall out. And so what happens is we go ready. And then I lean forward and I look down, and it's like Google Earth, right? I'm just like, oh, that's all of LA, okay. And then like set and lean back, and I'm like, whew. And he says, and right before we're about to say go, I lean forward and I actually look straight down. And in my head I just say, I am so fucking stupid. And then they say, go! And I just, blah! And I throw myself out of the airplane. I throw it way too hard, so immediately we're upside down. And like I reorient myself, and there's the Red Bull Air Force with their little frickin' like camera, just like, woo! So what I try to do is I try to go, fuck, because that's kind of the emotion that's running through my body. And instead what happens is I go, fuck, and air just shoves itself up my face, right? I try to scream, but the instant the f is done and I've opened my mouth, literally like it's 120 miles an hour is the rate you're falling, and that is air pushing directly up into your brain. I was having like pressure in my sinuses and my cerebral cortex and whatever the fuck is at the front of your brain, and I was just there like, and you might feel cool, but you don't look cool because your face is just like, I was like trying to make like little signs, and it's just the most weird combination of incredible, intense adrenaline rush and beautiful serenity as I'm looking down. And I did this weird thing. As I was screaming, I looked down and I was like, oh, that's the Earth. So I spat, and it just goes like right up my face, and I'm like, better wait till the chute's been pulled before I spit. So he pulls the chute, and I have the most fucking brutal pain right there on the other side of my crotch, right where it, like the harness is. I'm like, ugh, I still have these huge bruises like my parents put on a fucking iron chastity belt when I was 12, and then I became 6'3", and it just like grew in with, there's these giant mauled black lines right there. Like my feet were amputated and my legs were amputated and they had to like re-sew the body back together. It's just this heinous, gross black bruise. Like, ugh, it's terrible. And so then we just sort of float down, and the Earth doesn't actually look like real ground. It does not look like a planet. It looks photoshopped. I kid you not. You're just floating down and you're like, SimCity 2000 got it dead on. I mean, the world is actually isometric from that vantage point. It's really weird. So I'm just sort of like, okay, I think that's the Earth. Right? So we end up landing, and they have you put your feet up, and I sort of boom, and we sat down, and again everyone's just like, wah! And I'm just quiet. I'm just very quiet, and I wow, Sean, how was that? It was great. Yeah, the high five. It's gonna be awesome. Okay. And we stopped by Carl's Jr. on the way back, and I was just very quiet, just looking out, and I was like, I'm so fucking stupid. I actually did that. Wow. And I fell asleep right there in the car. I didn't even eat the hamburger. I just fell asleep and woke up like an hour and a half later and didn't even talk. I just reached down and picked up my hamburger and was like, I was like so hungry. Every single bit of like chemical in your body that does anything is just flushed through your system when you jump out of that airplane. And apparently that footage exists somewhere. And now that I've had a couple days to process it, I think I'm going to go skydiving again. I actually recommend it. It's actually a lot of fun. You guys should go skydiving. Oh, it's so awesome. I'll be like high-fiving you. Oh, man, it's so great. Just make sure you have one of those earth detectors. You don't want to fall and land up somewhere non-Earth-like, like fucking New Jersey. Oh, boom! So, I guess I'm going to do a daily at some point. That was a good punchline. Thank you. Take that, New Jersey. Got him. Yes. What is the day's topic for the day? Oh, yeah, Zerg vs. Zerg. Now that I realize that it's actually like 7:23, that story was like longer than I thought, so part 1 might just mainly be a story, right? And then parts 2 and 3 will actually be the Zerg vs. Zerg analysis. So what I want to do is I want to briefly come over to this game. I want to get through an intro to the game, talk a little bit about the topic, and then we actually will go on to a break. Great. So let's go ahead and pop on directly into the game. We have TSL Revival, who's obviously very good because he's on TSL, which stands for the SCV Life. One of the most raffle-worthy names for a pro team I've ever heard of, but not nearly as bad as the KT Finger Boom. Yes, that is right, the KT Finger Boom. I kid you not. I kid you not. Aww. So, and then we have EG's IdrA. Now, this is a 27-minute long game. I guess 28 minutes if you round up. And what I want to do is I want to actually step through some points in the game absolutely, totally paused. So both players spawning at opposite positions. We're going to zoom up to the 4-minute mark. And when I was watching this replay pretty quickly, both of them did the early expand. And I'm envisioning you watching this game at ×4, ×8 speed. Wow, both of them do an early expand. I mean, they have like exact same amount of everything. Let's actually speed up to the 10-minute mark. We're seeing them both pretty even, right? Actually, let me back it up briefly to the 8-minute mark. That's perhaps a little bit more indicative. Looks like Revival's going for a layer, and hot on his heels, IdrA's going for a layer. Both of them have Roach Warrens up, are producing Roaches. As I zoom up to the 10-minute mark, you know, they're both taking their thirds. There's actually not been really any major confrontations at this point. I come to the 16-minute mark. There's just a huge Roach Hydra battle with both players maxed. And actually, if I just select our TSL player, look at this. He has, it looks like, just 3 larvae available. And he has like a whole bunch of stuff producing. And IdrA has a ridiculous amount. Oh, he has 7 larvae. Okay, yeah. Everything about this game seemed a little bit uninteresting, right? It was just big Roach Hydra engagements versus big Roach Hydra engagements. Here's Roach Hydra. Here's just plain old Roach. They get some infestors in the mix at some point eventually. And you can see that there's that even map splitting going on. And at the very end, IdrA ends up with this overwhelming force of Roach Hydra. Now, this is the sort of game that, from an entertainment perspective, you might think to yourself, ugh, that's no fun, right? Both players just made a bunch of Roaches and Hydras and didn't really attack each other, and there was some trading, and then the game was done. But here's the reason I thought this game was absolutely brilliant upon some more examination. All right? Because what first went through my head is, well, you know what? This is the problem with every mirror matchup from a player's perspective, not from observers. Let's pretend that you can't even watch professional StarCraft. That all we do is play. What imbalance do we exploit? And when I say imbalance, I don't mean what unfair bullshit do we exploit. I mean what difference. Like, for instance, let's say I'm going Roach Hydra and you're going Mutalisk Zergling. Oh, there's huge differences between those. Roach Hydra generally stronger in direct engagements, but the Mutalisks can fly. So the phrase I would use is, if I'm going Mutalisk, I can exploit the mobility imbalance. I am very mobile and he is very immobile. Again, not unfair, just not balanced in some regard. I can use my faster units to hit him in lots of places at once. But what happens if you're both doing approximately the same thing? This is where I think a lot of players absolutely hate the matchup. Any mirror matchup is when we're both doing the same thing. Your question becomes, where does my edge lie? What am I trying to exploit? I can't exploit more mobility. What if we're getting the same upgrades? I can't exploit more of that. I don't know. And this is where I think people tend to stop thinking and just say, coin flip, coin flip, coin flip, coin flip, coin flip, coin flip. I need to do something totally different in this direction, so that way there's a clear difference to exploit, a clear edge, a clear imbalance to end up working with. But there was this magical moment that I saw in this replay that just turned me on, that just got me totally freaking aroused. It is this moment. I think I'm actually going to have to go up to it. All right. I'm going to start at the 10-minute mark. We have IdrA having 4 more drones, having a lot more roaches. Actually, a little bit before. If we come to the 8-minute mark, they both end up kind of having the same amount of drones. And we see, oh, looks like Revival actually has 7 roaches versus the no roaches for IdrA, just a couple of Zerglings. So this is looking better for Revival. Speed up to the 10-minute mark. It looks like IdrA has a couple more drones. Does have a bit of an edge in roaches, twice as many roaches. That said, if we look at the production, we see that there's 8 more roaches about to pop. So what I want you to do is just look up here with me. I'll go even into the black pit of despair. Yeah, even right here, at 10 minutes and 12 seconds, look at how approximately even these two players are. But all of a sudden, when I got to the 11-minute mark, something absolutely insane happened. At 11:11, we see IdrA sprinting a full 15 drones ahead of his opponent. And he has a bunch of Hydralisks about to pop out. And there was this key engagement at this phase in the game where Revival sprung up to this top side. IdrA effectively defended and had way the hell more drones at this point in the game. Like, a lot more drones, and was safe. I mean, there's some more roaches trying to spring their way up here. But this, for me, was something real special. This is what I want to spend a lot of time talking about in this game. The sorts of decisions that end up happening in this moment, or in this style of game where both players are just kind of doing the same looking thing, and you have to ask yourself, where does my edge lie? Where does my edge end up lying? So what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and hop into a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to watch this game in 2 segments in part 2 and 3, and then we're going to go ahead and sprint directly into State of the Game afterwards. So I'll see you in just a sec.